What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to walk you through how I structure my training. So the first thing I do is I divide the body in half and do anterior, posterior, because I like this better than upper, lower, or push-pull legs or anything like that, simply because this helps me mitigate lower back fatigue and local fatigue in smaller muscle groups like my arms, and allows me to put the most into my workouts, because I find if I do like a full leg day, my lower back gets tired when squatting and doing like heavy deadlifts or RDLs on the same day. So this strategy helps me mitigate that and be able to train with intensity, which is the biggest key to the way I structure my workouts. Before I get into that, intensity is the most important factor. So all your sets, you want to be between 0 and 3 reps in reverse. If you feel like you could have done 4 or 5 more, the set was simply not effective. I have a lower volume approach, which means I'm never really doing more than 4 sets ever on any exercise, so every set needs to count. No fluff, no BS sets, and that is the best way to see results. So first thing, I've got my anterior day and my posterior day here. I do a 4-day split, so I essentially do this template twice, and that's how I structure my workouts. So first off, I start off with an upper body compound. Now, a compound is going to be any multi-joint lift, anything that is not an isolation exercise. So that could be like a bench press, a pull-up, a RDL, a squat, something like that would be considered a compound lift. So for my anterior day, front of the body, I start off with an upper body compound lift. And for example, that'd be like a bench, an incline bench, dumbbell bench, incline dumbbell bench. Even a converging machine press would be all right there. So for me, I just went ahead and chose barbell bench press. Then I move on to the lower body so that the upper body has plenty of time to rest between exercises. So then I do the same thing. I want a lower body compound. So that could be a front squat, a back squat, a hack squat, a plat squat. So I just threw plat squat right up there, heel elevated squat. Good compound for the lower body. Next, we are back to upper body. So now we get into the secondary lifts. So the secondary lifts are still very much like compounds, meaning that they are not single muscle group. So again, any type of pressing variation would be appropriate here. Things like tricep pushdowns would probably not be appropriate here. So for a secondary, that could be something more stable like a machine chest press. It could be something like a weighted dip. That's one of my favorite secondaries for upper body. A dumbbell press, a single arm dumbbell press, something unilateral like that. So for my upper body secondary here, I went with machine press. Now is my lower body secondary lift. So again, that could be something more stable like a leg extension or something like that. Some unilateral like a Bulgarian split squat, reverse lunge, Smith machine split squat, something like that. So I just went ahead and threw leg extension right up there. And then lastly, we get into the accessories, which are smaller muscle groups and isolation exercises. So biceps and triceps comes next. So since I'm do triceps on my anterior day, I went ahead and selected rope tricep press downs. And lastly is shoulders or abs. You can do shoulders on anterior or posterior day. For me, I prefer them on posterior day, but it's really up to you. So I went ahead and did abs on anterior day 1, so I just went with a weighted sit-up. Now let's get into the posterior day. So again, you can start off with an upper or lower body compound, really depending on what suits you and I guess what equipment's available. But I went ahead and started with a weighted pull-up. Now I move on to my lower body compound. So any deadlift variation is good here. Hamstring curls would probably not be a great suggestion for right here. You're going to want a heavy pull from the floor in order to fully develop that back musculature and your hamstrings up in the lengthened position. So I would pick like an RDL, a stiff leg deadlift, conventional deadlift, even sumo or trap bar could go here. And then we are back to the upper secondary. So another thing that's important on posterior day is that if your primary upper body exercise is a vertical pull, you're going to want to make sure that your secondary is a horizontal pull. So on my day 2, I like to start off with a vertical pull, but then on my day 4, I start off with a horizontal pull and I make the vertical pull my secondary. So here I've got a chest supported row, and make sure you're switching up your grips. Like if up here I'm doing a weighted pull up with a prone grip, I'm going to make sure that this chest supported row, if it's a machine or dumbbells, is a neutral grip, or maybe something with a supinated grip, like a supinated cable row could go there. I just avoid doing two of the same grip in the same workout just for some variety, and to hit the back in all the correct angles. Now we are on to the lower body secondary. So again, this could be a machine like a hamstring curl, maybe a GHD, 45-degree back extension, that's a great exercise. Single leg things like single leg RDL if you're an athlete, single leg hamstring curl, something like that. So I just went ahead and put in a hamstring curl here. My personal favorite is seated hamstring curls. And then on to the accessories. So since I did triceps, it's going to be biceps. This could be really any bicep exercise of choice. I just threw hammer curl up there. And then since I didn't hit shoulders before, now of course shoulders can go a little earlier in the workout, especially if you're doing more of a pressing variation. But if you're doing like a lateral raise type or a face pull, that would have no problem being at the end of the workout. So I just went ahead with a dumbbell seated 60-degree shoulder press. So dumbbell shoulder press goes right here. And now for the rep ranges. This is pretty simple. Your compounds, you want about 3 sets from about 4 to 8 reps. If you're doing a little bit of strength work and you dip lower into the 1 to 4 rep ranges for maybe one of the sets, that's all right. But most of your sets you want between that 4 to 8 rep range. Now for your secondary, you're going to want 2 to 3 sets, really depending on your goals. I think 2 sets is plenty if you train with intensity. And then I like these a little higher rep range from the 8 to 10 rep range, just so we can get a little bit of that higher rep work to really induce some hypertrophy to be aligned with the strength and hypertrophy goals. And then lastly, for the accessories, I really like 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps because the musculature that we are working in the accessories have already been worked. Like for example, the triceps already get some work with the dumbbell bench, barbell bench or whatever, and they don't need too many sets to really get pushed. And with the accessories, you do want to go right up to failure for best results. Again, 12 to 15 reps. You shouldn't need too much volume here. Another couple key notes, make sure to take your rest times. I really like to take at least 3 minutes between sets. And additionally, intensity recovery is everything. So you want to get in, get out. And I like to make sure that my total sets for the workout stay below 15, as that produces the best results and helps you train with the most intensity possible. If you follow this template, I guarantee that you'll see results. If you follow this template, train right, eat right, sleep right, I guarantee that you'll build muscle and get stronger.